We are taking a look at Nigerian foreign exchange reserve. Ken Ugbeche will be joining me later on the show. But here we are in the studio and I have direct, all the way from US. But here in Nigeria, it has landed. And no other person than Mr. Lawrence Taylor, who happens to normally feature on this program all the way from Texas, US. But he right now is in Nigeria. He's in the FCT Abuja. He's right in the studio of ATBN in Abuja here. Mr. Lawrence, it's very good day to have you on the show. And welcome to Abuja.
Thank you very much, sir. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Exactly.
And it's been an exciting week.
Exactly. I know when you are coming, you saw something that most of us Nigerians are used to. And you are like, hey, what's happening here? Share your thoughts with us.
Well, I got caught in the presidential motorcade.
That's interesting.
And
that's interesting.
It is very interesting because we experienced presidential motorcades in America, but this was different.
This is an African dimension of presidential motorcade.
You don't shut down all roads, road crossing, and the one direct path. You don't have 40-car motorcades in America.
Interesting.
So I think the interesting thing is that by law, by traffic law, drivers in the U.S., you observe traffic laws, and if there's any emergency vehicle at all, you yield. And that's where. And then if it's a governor of a state, for example, or it's a presidential, like the one I experienced coming to your studio, you yield still, and it's very quick. But this one today, if we spent 15 minutes, it was short. It was at least 25 minutes.
I sent a text to you. I said, just be sure and be patient for the next 20, 25 minutes. You'll be out of it. Thank God you're out of it, and you're right now in the studio. So welcome to Abuja.
Thank you.
And welcome to Nigeria.
It's
so
my pleasure.
On a very bright note, interesting package, global financial, review, global financial market. Here we are.
Yes.
Something happened between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and today.
Yes.
All the big central banks across the world are making changes on their rate. That is their interest rate. Yes. The U.S. Federal Reserve, I did a cut between 4 to 4.25. The Bank of England did their own at 4%. Then European Central Bank did their own at 2.40%.
Yes.
What is your assessment of all this happening so far?
My assessment from a professional point of view is the fact that indeed there has been pressures in the world market, in the finance, especially from the inflationary point of view. I'm sure that the economists who study those trends will tell you that the more they lower the rates, the better it is for the consumers, because the inflation has, over the last half a year, actually it started gradually before the end of the past year. The last 8 to 10 months has been really tough economically on the average consumer. So I think it's a good thing for them to lower rates. So it's a way of kind of releasing the pressure. It's like you have a kettle and just let little things trickle to,
to fizzle out some pressure that has been around, so that I think particularly for the US that we are coming from, you based in US, and you have seen the economy of US, the Donald Trump magical aspect of what he's doing, and other aspects of the economy policy of Donald Trump and the rest of them. But for the rate that you saw from Federal Reserve, someone want to know, for someone who is coming from the US and you saw a US Federal Reserve is reducing their rate at this point in time, what do you make of it, particularly on the generality of the economy of the US?
Well, it is a good thing, particularly because it's been a while since they did that. And the government in power will tell you that this should have been done months ago.
Exactly.
But the good thing about the U.S. is that the Fed, or Central Bank of America, which is called the Fed, is independent regardless of who is in power. The president, regardless of their party, cannot influence the decisions of the U.S. Central Bank or Fed. So
interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. So although the present government has been asking for it for a long time, their timetable is different from the government's timetable.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they have to look at the body language of the global economy.
Exactly.
But for the Bank of England, there was a pressure on UK economy. We saw it this year. The inflation was going headwire. It even brought confusion between the parliament,
Yes.
the Labour Party that is in power, the Conservative that also, and at this point in time, it seems that they have listened to every voice and they have taken a decision. But what do you make of UK economy also in this regard of inflation cut?
I think they have to also study the global impact of what decisions the superpowers, so to speak, make. And once America makes a move, the next superpower, UK, China, etc., are going to make a decision to kind of have an alignment so that there's no conflict. And so if the US, which is the largest economy, is to trying to lower the pressure, then the trend is to follow suit.
Exactly, interesting. But for the European Central Bank, it's a different ball game, I would say, because yesterday a colleague of mine who normally handle a diplomatic international program did a report on European Central Bank.
Right.
They highlighted that the reason why they are even cutting their rate is in relation to geopolitical tension within that area that's affected European economy. But what do you have to say about that also?
It is quite possible, and I don't have enough information since I don't live in the UK.
Exactly.
So, but I'm pretty sure if it's due to internal geopolitical circumstances, it's probably the right thing for them as a nation, and also to keep up with what is happening internationally.
Exactly, interesting. But let's now get down to the main discussion. Global economy and a global market economy, I would say, or global financial market economy, which you are quite very, very comfortable talking about, the global stock and the rest of them. But take us through. You are now in Nigeria. Many Nigerians watching you are now seeing Mr. Taylor live, direct, not the Zoom kind. So they want to hear from you. What have been your assessment of the global financial market? You know, taking a look at the stock and the rest of the global economy.
The good thing about global economy is that it is very resilient, regardless of which nation or which government or coalition of nations. Because if a country or the industrial sector of each country is doing the right things, good things are going to happen, regardless of the chaos in government.
Exactly.
And so that's what has happened. The technological development, the key principles, intellectual matters that companies use to make good products for people to use is sustaining, and therefore it makes it possible for there to be consistency regardless of what's happening. And then when governments make the decisions like they have made in the last few days, i.e. the central banks, then everything just runs smoother.
Exactly, interesting. Now let's take a look at global financial literacy, which we are also very, very comfortable talking about.
Yes.
You know, when you talk about the three bucket scenario, many will be wondering, you are that maybe you are because we're in US, that's why you're talking. But right now you're in Nigeria.
Yes.
Can you play out that scenario for us? The three bucket scenario of how to make money, save money, and invest money.
Okay, I guess since I'm in Nigeria, let me use something, another analogy similar that will be that's relatable, so to speak, to people in Nigeria. So if the bucket analysis, let's change the one aspect of that word, make it pocket. Like you have on a jacket, I have a jacket, well, I have a shirt. So an illustration, I have a few Naira notes here. Let's assume this is my income. The three bucket analysis I use in my listing, let's change that to pockets. So now this is my income. What I want to do now is make sure, okay, I don't know, instead of having go spend, the first thing I want to do is pay myself. You are the
labor man.
Exactly. I'm saving, let's say 20% of my income. So I now go ahead and put it in this pocket. I know that's my money that I'm setting aside out of my income. There's also another thing now that after I've done that, I have standard bills, my rent, my grocery food for my family for the month or week, if depending on your pay cycle. Okay, what are my living expenses? Okay, we count 1, 2, 3, let's say 4. Okay, so that is also taken care of. Now, this is my second, instead of a bucket, we're going to call it pocket. Okay, so what's left now is the money that I can do either investment or take care of miscellaneous things. So now, what are those things? What are my, now I have to go into what are my financial goals. So now this what's left now is the money I want to grow. I've taken care of my savings. I've taken care of my living expenses. So now I need to meet with a financial professional, preferably advisor, who knows what they're doing. This is what I have, not the income, because I've already accounted, yes. And that third bucket is where this comes in. In this case, we're going to call it the third pocket. For the Nigerian, because everybody can relate to a pocket.
Exactly.
Unlike the bucket that I use in the US. Because bucket is what most US people will relate to. But in Nigeria, everybody can relate to a pocket. So now, we put that in this pocket. So, while normally I would say the bucket, when you interview me while I'm in the US, here we're going to say 3 pockets. Yeah.
Yes.
So that is so you already automatically you're going to label each bucket or pocket. This is this is the income. You know how much it is. It's finite amount because either a salary or commission, or you're paid on a contract based on a consulting scene. So you already know what's coming in. Then you outline, I'm going to save 20% or 15%, could be 10%. But you've already allocated automatically before you do anything. This goes into my savings. Then, I spend 50% of my income or whatever on my living expenses. Then you lock that away in that second pocket. In this case.
Exactly.
So what is left now is that third pocket. What do you do with it? That's where, do I buy stocks? Do I buy land? Do I buy real estate? Do I all these other things? So you divide that money so you know where it's going. Out of that third pocket, you may have an ancillary or miscellaneous, just in case, you may be driving, your tire blows out, for example. Okay, where is that money going to come from? You don't want to go into your savings
at all
and pull that money out. You don't want to you don't want to shortchange your living expenses. I have that third pocket. Okay, how much do I have left? Will you take care of that tire, for example? Simple things like that.
But there's this mindset that also comes. You are in Nigeria right now. Many Nigerians would love to do what you have just demonstrated, but sometimes the mindset that the invisibility in our economic system, because the US economy will say the environment is quite different from what we have here. First and foremost, the first thing that will come to an ordinary mind is that after collecting a salary of 100, he has divided the money into 3 different pockets, 50,000 a year, 20,000 a year, 30,000 a year. Now I put 30,000 in investment. And there's this lifestyle that we have here. They go partying, they buy Ashwebi, they buy Ashwebi. There is this impulse buying, shopping that comes with. How would they take care of that?
They take care of that by what's called discipline. You have to have the discipline to know what you want to accomplish with your money. Each individual is going to be different. If I'm independently wealthy already, for example, and that's what I want to do, just because you and I are buddies, and let's say your circumstance doesn't allow you to do that, doesn't mean that you should do. In America, they say, don't do as the Joneses do. Don't try to imitate the Joneses, because the Joneses, or in this case, let's use a popular Nigerian name, what's
rich family?
Some rich family.
Like a Dangote of this world.
Not everybody is a Dangote, for example. In America, not everybody is a Jones, So the idea that, they are doing it, so I'm going to go do it. First of all, assess and analyze your own circumstances. Do you have the resources to actually do that? If you don't go imitating the Dangotes and the Joneses of the world.
That's it. No, another aspect that we also need to track, because we are trying to pass a message to Nigeria, particularly financial literacy in aspect of discipline.
Yes.
There's this imposed financial obligation that comes from family, friends. There's this popular thing in Nigeria, urgent 2K.
Urgent 2K.
Urgent 2K means a friend is in challenge and he wanted some money, maybe a transport, he's hooked somewhere, and he needed transport, someone to save him out of the challenges, and he quickly sent a message, please, I'm please, I'm stranded, can you help me with 2K? We call it urgent 2K in Nigeria. So where does such comes from? From this, from what you have painted?
Okay. That's a tough one. But let me see, the best way I will address that is that, let's say we're a group of friends. My advice to that friend is, okay, I'm going to do it this time. I may do it a second time. But by the third time, you're showing me, that friend is showing me that they don't have the discipline to be able to do what we've just demonstrated.
Exactly.
Save some money so that when that urgent 2K comes up, oh, I do have it somewhere. Because in America, if you do that enough with friends or even family, at some point, some people are going to start building boundaries. In this case,
blockages.
Yeah, financial boundaries. And so the best thing is to say, okay, buddy, or my friend, okay, I will help you with this, but this is how best to avoid this urgent 2K situation.
Scenario.
When you get your salary, make sure you're setting aside some and divide it for all your expenses. Does that mean you're not going to have, just because you're doing the 3-bucket or 3-pocket analogy, that you're not going to have urgencies? You're going to have urgencies. You're going to have emergencies. And that is where the savings part comes in. That's why you're setting that, we call it rainy day in our world where I live. So when that rainy day comes, it's not every time that you get a rainy day that you should go as a body or urgent 2K. It's not every day. Because if you have the discipline to be following that process, you have to have a process where you're setting aside some portion of your salary. You have a miscellaneous portion of it out of the third pocket. Because out of that third pocket is your investment. Okay, okay, in case I have an urgent 2K situation, where's that money going to come from? It doesn't have to be 20% of it. It could be, okay, I have 10,000 naira. Here's 500. And if you do that month over month over month, and the principal compound interest, for example, compounding, when that urgent 2K situation comes, you already have the money, or I will already have the money, and I will not need to say, Fulani, listen, I need urgent 2K.
All right, let's go to the technical aspect of financial literacy. What areas of investment, in Nigeria, we have few of them. We have the stock, we have the fixed income and others, which I know you're also already aware of. But if you have to encourage Nigerians in investment, which area? Because in some few years now, we have had issue with fast money among Nigerians who want fast money. They want quick money, and because of a lot of mechanism of investment opportunity comes in. We can give you 30%, you can give you 20%. But from your own understanding, as someone very deep in this financial literacy perspective, what's your advice to Nigerians?
Oh, very good question. First and foremost, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is not true. Because if somebody's going to promise you 20%, 30%, the first question you need to ask is, what are my risks? If I put money, do I have a chance to also lose 20% or 30%? Because it's not always going to be just gain. You were just really on the stock market. Exactly. It goes up, it comes down. We had some losers, and we had some winners, right? What if you had bought the losers? But the promise was 20%. No, they didn't make that. They actually lost some, right? So you have to have what is called a critical understanding. You use critical thinking. Does this make sense? But if it doesn't make sense, don't do it. Exactly. And then you have to analyze because my circumstance will be different from your circumstance. And person C, person D. The important thing is, what is good for my circumstance? Where am I at in my career? And my goal, what goals have I set out? What have I accomplished? So once you do that, because my circumstance is different from yours, which is part of why you don't do as the Joneses, because their circumstances are different. So that's important to do that. You have to have what is called inherent understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, for example, as I was in traffic coming here today, I encountered the presidential motorcade. I had an inherent understanding that if this is going to cause me to be late, I better call you and tell you to be aware of it. The same is true in financial literacy. each person, each family has to have an inherent understanding of, one, this is the path we're on. What are the obstacles? What are the risks? And things like that.
Exactly.
I made some notes for myself, so hope you don't mind me taking a
You
bit
can do that. You can,
Yeah.
because we really want to educate Nigerians on financial literacy. And for someone like you, have been in the US, having understood that system and having understood how it works, because most of the financial literacy that we are even getting here comes from abroad.
Yes.
But someone who has been abroad is here. Take us through some of those your notes. Let's hear from you.
Okay. One of the things I noted for myself to help in our interview is the fact that I have to understand my environment. One of the things I've done on this short visit is to kind of understand the Nigerian environment. Because it's not the same as it is in the US. Just like my family circumstance is different from your family circumstance, when it comes to nation and economic systems to economic systems, it's different. So I have to have a good understanding of the environment I am in. If I were to move from here and say go to another African country, that country has a different circumstance. If that's where I want to live my life, my working life, my family life, or if I'm just there by myself, I have to understand that circumstance. The second thing I want to know is what network, i.e. person contacts that I have that will help me navigate that environment. The third thing is what resources do I have? One resource, part of why I encourage setting aside is 10 to 20% of your money for savings, is that's part of your resources. And one of the things I've observed in this Nigerian environment is that Nigerians, and I'm a Nigerian myself, but it took me...
A US to Nigerian man.
a Nigerian to US man. And one of the things I had to, once I got used to the US environment, is that the most important resource beyond the savings and money and property, etc., that we have is time. And most
Recording in progress.
No, go ahead. It's not for us.
Most Nigerians don't understand the concept of time. And that is where most of our problems as a nation, as a people, come. Yeah, because if you begin to factor time as one of your resources and you manage time, everybody has a planner or calendar of some kind. If Nigerians start, as a general practice, start to block out time for each activity. Okay, this morning I knew that by 11:30 to 1, I needed to be in the vicinity of your studio. So whatever meetings I had scheduled for today, I wanted to make sure that it didn't coincide where I'm stuck, other than the presidential motorcade. I would have been stuck in a meeting, and now I would still be sitting in another meeting with somebody when I already knew that I'm supposed to be in the studio with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. But what are other experiences you can share? I know you have been in Nigeria I don't know how long you have been around, but what other experience you need to share with us, compared to what we had in the US, particularly on the aspect of economy, because, we need to understand that in regard.
One of the things that I believe the government, let me start with the government. One of the things that the government of Nigeria, from local government to state and to federal, and probably if the federal sets the standard, maybe the other two levels of government will follow suit, is that for this nation to succeed, for this economy to succeed, for the people of this nation to succeed as a nation, as a state, as a local government, the infrastructure has to be there. The road. Abuja Abuja and Lagos are probably the best. I've not been to all parts of Nigeria, but my few days in Port Harcourt, my hometown, showed me that there's no infrastructure in River State. When it rained, the roads were impassable. There's no drainage system, which is part of infrastructure. There are no good roads. I traveled to my local government, which goes through Eleme, where the
oil plant and the rest of
all
them
the plants, and where all the tankers come to, and the roads are impassable. If it rains now, you have a small car, you can't drive through. You have to have a gigantic SUV
to pass.
that will rise up high enough to pass. And that's something basic. It's not that you don't have Ministry of Works that realizes this. Then put it in place. And part of infrastructure is healthcare. If the healthcare system is not taken care of, a healthy nation is a healthy economy. If people are not healthy enough, or they cannot get the healthcare they need in order to be healthy and go to work, the economy is going to suffer. And the third part of the infrastructure, although independent of itself, is education.
Education. Interesting. That human capital development.
Exactly. Yeah. And Nigeria, if the federal government can have that vision, and the leadership of the federal government have visionary leadership, and set the standard and say, okay, states follow suit, do the same, replicate what we're doing at the federal level, at the state level. Oh, local government areas, replicate. That will help.
Exactly. Before I let you go, Mr. Lawrence, because I understand you have other meetings to attend. The central bank is meeting on Monday and Tuesday.
Nigeria?
Central Bank. Yes.
Okay.
You know, they have waited for, you know, the announcement from US Federal Reserve, UK Bank of England, as well as the European Central Bank. They also even waited for the one coming out from the Asia, because China is announcing today, South Korea is also announcing, everybody on that South Asia are announcing. But Monday, Tuesday, Central Bank of Nigeria will be announcing. But currently, our rate is 27.50. But I've been called for the rate to reduce, particularly with the recent inflation that have reduced from 21.88 to 20.12 just on Tuesday. But what do you think the CBN will do?
Oh, wow.
I hope it's not too tough for you to predict.
I cannot predict because I'm not in the prediction game. But if I was a fly on the wall, I'm not part of the meeting, but I'm there listening.
Exactly. Interesting.
I would say, look at what has happened globally. Other nations, the leading nations economically, have lowered their rates in order to release that pressure on the economic valve, so to speak. So it will make sense that if most major nations, leading nations, are lowering rates, perhaps Nigeria should also.
Exactly. Interesting. Yeah. I'll take that from Mr. Lawrence as his parting shot when it comes to advising the CBN in terms of his rate. The US Federal Reserve have done similarly. UK Bank of England also did on the same note. Not to forget European Central Bank. Today, China Central Bank, South Korea Central Bank, another leading central bank from the Asian perspective will be doing. Not to forget India also be announcing their rate today. But for Nigerian Central Bank, by Tuesday 2 p.m., they'll be announcing their own. Very interesting discussion coming from Mr. Lawrence Taylor, who happen to be a Nigerian US, financial analyst. But right now, we normally hear from Mr. Lawrence all the way from US, but right now it's in Nigeria. He's in Abuja, and he's in the studio of ADBN in Abuja. Mr. Lawrence, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Exactly.
It's good to meet you.
And me too. Good to see you live and direct here in Nigeria. But I have to let you go because of other commitment at this point in time. But we hope that when you return to US, Market Report will definitely feature you more on global issues pertaining to economy and market.
I appreciate that. And sometimes, let me make one final comment. Sometimes when the food analogy, it's good to see what the chef is doing.
Exactly, and you are here to show up.
I'm here to finally see, okay, let me go into that kitchen and see
how hot the kitchen is.
Yes, right, and I can see it. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Don't go there. We have to, anyway, we have to go for a short break right now. And when we return, my other guest, Ken Ugbiche, will be on so that we can look at Nigerian foreign exchange issues. Join us shortly after the short break.